Pickaxe.
Hello and welcome to the podcast of this week's One Life Left radio show. I'm Simon Byron.
I am s23e11 Curran.
And we're also joined by Alice. Hello again.
Hello.
Oh, hello for the first time, given that this is the intro. What an awful introduction. Alice has joined us for the show. Thank you for that, Alice. You were excellent. I have a new appreciation for horses.
That's what I do. Giving people new appreciation for horses and making everyone notice how badly implemented they are. You can't enjoy them anymore if you listen to them too much.
You got that to look forward to, listeners. It was a fun show today. What we didn't address, that Steve did mention it towards the end of the show, is what Steve has got on his head. Now, Steve records the show in the same room that he works and sleeps in. But it's been evolving. There you go. There's a cat in there. He's showing us on the camera at the moment. It's his work and home space has been evolving over the years. Over recent weeks and months, he's got a new computer.
He's got a Christmas tree.
He's got a Christmas tree's up a little bit early, I might add. Should be going up next weekend.
Yeah, you tell that to a 3-year-old who wants to put up a Christmas tree.
Well, and I think the good times have come to the Curran household this year, and so Steve's bought himself a new set of headphones. Now, Alice, what do you think of Steve's headphones? How would you describe them?
They look like headphones to me.
Well, sorry, and to be clear, this bit's not going out on the radio. So if you want to swear, you are able to, because that is what I would do. So they look like normal headphones to you, do they?
They're on the big side, but like I'm also wearing a big headset.
Simon,
not at all, Alice. Your headphones are perfectly proportioned. Steve looks like his head is between the muscly thighs of a wrestler. They are ridiculous, and I imagine that they are a gamer brand of earphones. Are they, Steve?
They are not, and that's what. Well, you can tell they're not a gamer brand of headphones because they don't have a mic, do they?
Well, how are you speaking then?
Magic!
What the hell are they?
These are music production headphones. They were on a Black Friday sale. And
obviously, they had loads of them left. They must do.
Yeah, because they're massive. I bought them because... because these ones, the ones that you typically see me in...
Lovely normal headphones.
These were not normal headphones. These were ones that we bought, I think, for $5 each when we used to do One Life Left on the road back in the day. I think we got four sets of them. And they're, I don't know what the word is to describe it, but they're flaking. The material, every time I would wear them, what would happen is I'd end up with little bits of black material around my ears for the rest of the day, or at least until someone would point that out. And that was getting embarrassing. Right. So I thought, last Black Friday, now we have regained access to the One Life Left account, I would get some new headphones.
What, you've spent the podcast money on those, have you?
Yeah.
Whoa! I didn't realise we could do such a thing. Well, I have to say, if those wear down, you will have thousands of years before you'll need to buy new headphones, given the size of them.
Yeah, well, you say you didn't realise we could do that. Imagine my surprise when I was combing through the One Life Left accounts in order to submit them, because it was the very last day we could do that, and I found records pre me taking them over, and there was a line there that was $59.99 Simon Byron for Red Dead Redemption 2.
What I needed to do was appraise the horses.
Perfect preparation for this show. Makes absolute sense.
Indeed, I did. I had my receipts.
I know. It's lucky that I've managed to find the ones.
That sounds like a very
relevant
investment.
I'm sorry you had to hear this, Alice, and being pulled up on my abuse of expenses.
Anyway, on this, I don't know if it's these new very good headphones or if it's something with you, but I've sensed an echo on your mic all show.
Yeah, I've heard an echo as well. I hope that hasn't. I hope that's
It's like you've got reverb on, or you're broadcasting from a cave.
Professional. Would you wear those headphones on the tube?
No, definitely not. I would wear them inside this room, and that's about it. But you do sound beautiful, both of you. So audio quality is excellent.
That's something.
Indeed. Yes, good show. Not a lot to add. I was going to say something. I've totally forgotten it. So should we just crack on?
Let's just crack on.
Here's the show.
Hello, good morning or good evening, and welcome to One Life Left on Resonance 104.4 FM. My name is Steve Curran.
Hello, I'm Simon Byron.
Simon, I'm a little bit rattled this morning.
There was excitement in the studio there, wasn't there? We didn't know what was going on.
For many reasons. I mean, for a start, because of the time. Once again, we're recording in the morning. Do you want to explain why that is?
I do. There's a football thing going on at the moment. It's called the World Cup, and England played the first knockout game of the tournament, their first knockout game of the tournament, last night when we normally record One Life Left. Now, we got away with the show last week because we were both watching a football match that neither of us really cared about. But we felt it was slightly too risky to try and do that whilst England were competing in a knockout game, which they won. Football's coming home again. Still coming home. And so we're through to play France, thankfully, on Saturday, which is when we don't record One Life Left. So there's going to be no need to move the show next week. But Steve, I've identified a bit of a problem.
Okay, tell me more.
So we're through to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. Now, our final show of the year is next week. We're recording it on Sunday. Now, if we beat France, our last show would be on Sunday before we go through to the semis and potentially win it. How will people know if England win the World Cup or not? If we've not got a show, we will have to do a show. Yes. So that's exciting. So that's what we were doing. Hence, we find ourselves slightly fraught on a Monday morning. I mean, you know, I mentioned some of my family tensions last week. They've not gone away, Steve. Mm-hmm. And in some ways, this morning was a little more complicated than usual. So apologies. Well, I know we were trying to start.
I saw you in your coat.
I got as soon as I could.
People, you know, new pickaxe listeners to the radio show who've joined us over the last year may not be familiar with what the show was like back when we were in the Resonance FM studio pre-COVID, and sometimes it was quite fraught then, wasn't it? Like, you know, when it was me, you, and Anne, we'd gather in the studio 20 minutes, half an hour before the show started.
Feet up.
Yeah, we'd relax, sort of
smoking
ease into that. Yeah, it was different then, wasn't it? It was different.
It was different.
But you know, sometimes I'd arrive later than you guys, wouldn't I? And I'd stroll in as the theme was playing,
whistling.
You'd be sweating behind the desk because you didn't usually drive the desk, did you? You'd be wondering, what does this button do? How does this work? It was all a bit frantic. But you arrived plenty of time this morning.
Sauntered in.
2 minutes before the show started.
Plenty of time. Almost too much time. In fact, you know, what I did, I was quite relaxed, but then I worked myself up. I get nervous, you know.
Took off your smoking jacket, hung it on the back of your gamer chair, and
don't you start on me on the gamer equipment, Steve.
And then we were ready to go, weren't we? Except we weren't, because something else happened, didn't it?
So we're on a roll with super special guests, and today's no exception. However, at 9 o'clock, our guest wasn't here, and we didn't know what to do. And then it was as if the door burst open.
Well, I said to you, didn't I, Simon? I said, "Should we just start? Should we do it? We don't know what to do. Don't know what the protocol is." Started the theme, and then there was a knock at the virtual door,
and in came.
Please welcome Alice. Hi, Alice.
Hello. I'm so sorry for causing additional last minute stress to you guys.
It was exciting. Because we had we're pretty light on formality, so there was very little by way of instructions. You arrived during the theme, and we were sort of desperately waving at you to say don't speak. What did you think? Did you think we were in trouble? Because we
I figured that, like, okay, I got here a little late and now it's already started and now I shouldn't talk over the theme like that.
You're a pro.
Wow, you're a gesture.
It's nice to be joined. Nice to be joined by a professional for once.
Alice, you may have to turn up your mic a little bit. Can you do that? Is it possible? Because we haven't done any show pre-production at the moment. So
that's a little better.
A little better.
I'm not actually sure if I can set the volume individually. Let me check. Output volume. This is already on max.
Alice, what have you been doing during lockdown? Have you used a headset and microphone before? What's going on?
Never talked to someone ever.
No.
There you go. That's much better.
Definitely better.
I just moved the thing closer to my mouth, so I'll just.
I'm going to write that down as very important instructions. Can you move the thing nearer to your mouth?
Alice, I didn't say your surname because I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, so you might want to introduce yourself properly.
My name is Alice Ruppert.
There we go. Glad I skipped out on that one, frankly.
I've heard various pronunciations for like Rupert or Ruppert or whatever, but I don't mind because it's impossible to pronounce it correctly in English. It's like it's just not a. I'll take whatever.
And where are you from?
I am from Switzerland.
I meant specifically in a more sort of job sense, but Switzerland works too.
Oh, sorry. I thought because we were talking about name, like where the name is from. Job-wise, I am currently coming from Aesir Interactive, which is a game dev studio in Munich, Germany, that I've been working for about a year now.
And you run a website called The Main Quest, don't you?
I do, yes.
Which we're going to talk more about later in the show, but
it is. Before we move on to that, though, Switzerland are through to the football, to the knockout stages of the football. Congratulations. Germany aren't.
I have no idea. I do not follow football whatsoever.
Well, Simon will catch you up on that program.
I was going to make a joke about how will you know. Okay. Fair enough. Well, don't worry about it because it's coming home. It's coming to our home.
Okay. No, I actually it's like I'm especially not following the World Cup this year because, like, you know, my partner told me, like, in a very serious matter a few days before the World Cup started, like, we're boycotting it this year because of Qatar. And I just burst out laughing because we've never watched a football match together in our lives. Like, we've been together for 10 years. And so like, yes, I'm definitely boycotting it over human rights, which is a very legit cause, and I'm not mocking it, but it is funny to me because we've never watched a single World Cup game.
Well, don't worry, Alice, because we won't be talking about football at all.
Good.
Because of our localised boycott of the World Cup. Over the next 55 minutes, we're going to be talking about video games, and that begins with the news in just a moment. We'll have One Life Left's letters section in the middle of the show, reviews coming up at the end of the show, and we'll have a feature as well. But first, Simon, are you ready for the news?
Let's do the news.
Okay, here is One Life Left's news.
Video game news with Anne Scantleberry.
It's 7:09 on Monday evening, somewhere in the world. We're One Life Left, and this is the news. All of our stories, once again, from videogameschronicle.com. Thank you for all the hard work you do. First story. A Spanish theme park is getting a roller coaster based on the Uncharted games. Port Adventure World in Tarragona will be opening the ride in 2023, according to a new announcement video published this week. Although no further information was given on the ride, a supporting tweet showed a compass emoji, presumably to depict Nathan Drake's adventuring, and a roller coaster emoji. Welcome to Uncharted at Port Adventure World. The tweet reads, new attraction, more emotions. A roller coaster is already in development at Port Ventura, and photos of its development have been shared by the theme park Twitter news account Freak Planet. According to Hobby Consolas, this is an indoor roller coaster being built in the far west area of the theme park. This area has a Wild West theme with a Grand Canyon Rapids ride and other Western themed sculptures similar to Frontierland in Disneyland. It's therefore believed, given how far along the ride's construction is and given the scenery in the far west area, this roller coaster is likely to be the Uncharted ride. So technically be the first theme park attraction based on a PlayStation IP, though the Ice Blast ride in UK's Blackpool Pleasure Beach was known as PlayStation The Ride. 1997, when it opened, between 1997 and 2002. Sorry, I struggled a little bit towards then. There we go, exciting, isn't it? An Uncharted roller coaster.
Well, it's exciting because it's easy, isn't it? It's cheap shots abound, incredibly linear, mediocre highs and lows, and also the player expresses no control over the direction or the experience. It's perfect for Uncharted.
It is perfect. And then once you've finished it, in a few years' time, they'll give it a fresh lick of paint, call it the Roller Coaster Remastered, and charge you more money for it.
I see you've been working on your cheap shots as well.
Exactly. Pow, 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 pow. Take that, Sony. It's only Monday morning. Imagine what it's going to be like by Friday. Ooh.
Do you like roller coasters, Simon?
I do like roller coasters, Steve. The most recent licensed roller coaster I went on was the King Kong Universal. It wasn't really a roller coaster, actually. It was a one of those ones you have to put 3D glasses on. It's excellent. And then I went on the Jurassic Park Velocicoaster. That's what it's called. Imagine that, the Velocicoaster.
It's not a word.
And it is, and what it means is it's a roller coaster where you do lots of queuing through dinosaur models, and then you go through the science lab, and stuff goes wrong, and then quick you have to get on the roller coaster. You don't go particularly quickly. And what's interesting about this one, it's at Universal Studios, is it goes whizzing around. I think there are, how do they describe them? There are like 12 out of your seat moments, so sort of, where you go over the crest of a hill or loop the loop. But this roller coaster, Steve, the Velocicoaster, halfway through, it suddenly goes faster.
It's not
because
possible.
of the dinosaurs. I know, because you're whizzing around, and then it goes, we have to go even faster. And it's good. So those are my quick licensed roller coaster reviews, 7 out of 10. Alice, are you a fan of licensed theme rides?
I just started thinking about that. Like, I've never been on an actual themed ride like that, because the only theme park I have in my general vicinity, and even that is like a pretty big trip for us, is like the Europa Park, which is just like, the theme is just countries and individual country, like European countries, and they're like some of their mythology. So like, the only themed coasters I've been to are like the Nordic mythology themed Iceland coaster at Europa Park, or the Mercedes-Benz themed ad coaster. That's actually the best one in the park, but the theming is
Well, Munich has the Oktoberfest every year, doesn't it? Now, I've been there
Yes.
where they erect temporary loop-the-loop roller coasters in a field.
Yes.
It's arguably one of the most dangerous things I've ever seen.
I've been on that. It was after 2 large beers, so if that's dangerous, I didn't notice.
Well,
No, but they. I was actually also quite impressed by like the size of the coasters they put up, considering they're temporary.
temporary.
Yeah.
I used to come to Munich,
and I'm still alive. So
I used to come to Munich fairly frequently years ago, and we took some games journalists to the Oktoberfest, and we went on some of those rides. My memories of them are, on the roller coaster at least, I lost my glasses, and the way that they handle that is that at the end of when they're sending everybody home, when the park closes, you're allowed to walk around the base of the roller coaster and look for glasses. I didn't find mine. But I found someone else's. And so I wore those for the rest of the trip. I saw through another man's eyes. And the other thing I remember is we were taking games journalists, and we'd had more than 2 large beers. And there was a ride that, if I can describe it, it looked like if you try and make it like a spider with your hand. I'm showing you guys on the camera, but you sort of do that so that your fingers are dripping down, and drooping down. On each of your fingers, you put a circular sort of array of seats, and you put sort of 6 people around the base of each finger like that, and then you just do that. You shake it. You shake games journalists. One of them is sick during the ride as it spins. Yeah. So that's my memories of Oktoberfest. 7 out of 10. Striking Distance has further detailed its DLC plans for the Callisto Protocol. The studio has published a DLC roadmap revealing release dates or launch windows for content included in the game's Season Pass, as well as free updates for all players. On February the 7th, all players will receive free access to New Game Plus and hardcore modes. In terms of premium Season Pass content, which is further detailed below the story, the Outer Way skin collection will also arrive on February the 7th. It will be followed by the Contagion bundle in March, the Riot bundle next spring, and new story content in the summer. So there we go. We talked about some of this last week, Steve, where we talked
yes, I was going to ask. This is the one we talked about last week, where it was additional death animations, and people were outraged, weren't they?
They were outraged. And yet, that's not stopped them detailing some more content that's coming, which I think is reasonably bold, given the state that the game launched in this week. It came out on Thursday, last week, Thursday or Friday. All reviews on Steam are mixed. And I have to say that mixed is an improvement to what they were when they launched. It launched with a host of problems that effectively, according to some people, rendered it unplayable on PC. Doesn't matter though, you can get new premium content in spring.
Well, it also doesn't matter because all I know of this game is the puff piece that I read on BBC News Online saying it was the scariest, goriest video game of all time.
Whoa, what was previously the scariest, goriest? Did they include that?
It's probably one of your roller coasters.
Puff piece?
I was very surprised to see out of nowhere just a piece on the front page of the BBC News website saying this video game that we'd already covered on One Life Left.
So keep up, BBC.
Yeah.
Do you prefer your actual news then to have some warning?
You mean
you're saying that you saw a news story out of the blue?
I do when it's about a game as frightening as this, at least according to the BBC News website. Yeah, I didn't know anything about this game prior to hearing about it on One Life Left, and now it's all over the place on the 2 major news sources I consume, your news and the BBC. But what the third piece of the puzzle I'm learning right now is that it's shipped apparently unfinished. Is this true, Simon?
You spooked me there with that word, Steve. I thought this is going out before the watershed. I thought you were describing its quality when you said it's shipped.
No, we have to be very, very careful with our language. Another thing that we weren't able to tell Alice before the show started.
Yeah, watch it.
Did you just do that again? You have to be very careful. The way you said "watch it," I thought.
Oh, okay. We've talked about this before. Dexter is beside himself during the time of year where you exchange gifts, and he particularly likes it when you're told to go and find those chocolate gifts when they're hidden, because he really does love an Easter egg hunt, and particularly when his teachers say it.
Sounds like moments that are going to end up on TikTok to me.
Alice, have you played the Callisto Protocol?
No, I have not. I had to quickly Google it on the side to know even remotely what we're talking about.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm bad at news.
Well, just to update you, so the company that owns the Callisto Protocol, the game was so poorly received that their stock took a notable dip on the career exchange on Friday, coinciding with the Callisto Protocol's release and reviews being published. Microsoft is reportedly expected to offer concessions to EU regulators soon in a bid to help push through its proposed Activision Blizzard acquisition. That's according to Reuters sources who said Microsoft's sweeteners would mainly consist of a 10-year licensing deal to PlayStation maker Sony. The future of the Call of Duty series as a multi-platform product is one of the key areas being examined by antitrust regulators scrutinising Microsoft's proposed $68.7 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Microsoft recently said it had offered Sony a deal that would see the Call of Duty's franchise remain on PlayStation for a decade. Sony, as the industry leader, says it's worried about Call of Duty, but we've said we're committed to making the game available. On the same day, both Xbox and PlayStation, a Microsoft spokesperson told Reuters, we want people to have more access to games, not less. So again, there's a common theme with this week's news, which is that we've heard it all before, and this story does keep rumbling. What I particularly like about this one is like, hey, no, come on, guys. We've said that we want this. No, we want more access, not yes. We've said it's going to be available on all consoles for 10 years. For 10 years, though. Oh no, we want everybody to have it, for 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, they're in the stage of saying what they need to say in order to get this done, aren't they?
And I am in the stage of having nothing more to say about Call of Duty. Like, all this news story, which, is going to be a struggle for this section, unless Alice can add some insight.
I feel like I'm being a disappointment in this section right now. No, I do not. I do not have. The only commentary I have is that I saw someone quote from. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but where Microsoft, not Microsoft, it's our own publisher. That's why I had that in my brain. Where Blizzard argued that actually Call of Duty is super not relevant, and that's why the value, that's why the value is actually fine. And
yeah.
so there was official wording released from Activision Blizzard explaining why Call of Duty isn't actually that great, and that was fun.
We don't even want it.
Yeah. Accidentally bought it.
Exactly. We're buying it for Crash Bandicoot.
There's so many more cooler video games, you guys. That's basically what it sounded like.
You said you're worried about your performance during this news section, Alice, but actually, unbeknownst to Simon, I asked Alice to find a news story for the show, which is something we've never asked a guest.
Whoa,
to do
guest
before.
news. Okay.
Guest news. How many more news stories do you have, Simon?
I've got 2.
2 more. Okay, let's do another one now, and then Alice, you ready yourself to come in after that, okay?
Okay.
Oh no! Oh no! Hold on.
The Game Awards creator Jeff Keighley has said that the upcoming show will be significantly shorter than last year's show due to feedback from viewers. The Game Awards 2022 will take place on Thursday, December the 8th, and ahead of the event, Keighley hosted one of his regular Twitter Spaces audio streams wherein he revealed some details about the upcoming show. One thing we're doing this year is we're trying to make the show a little bit shorter, Keighley said. I won't say anything official until we're through our rehearsals, but we think it's going to be significantly shorter this year. Explaining the decision to shorten the runtime, Keighley said, we think there's been a little bit of fatigue about how long the show has been. There are lots of games and lots of things we want to be part of it, but we're cutting back on those things to hopefully have a bit more of a streamlined show. Keighley also claimed that there will be fewer big games as part of the show. We definitely have cut back pretty significantly in terms of the runtime on the show, and just, kind of fewer games, the bigger games that'll be in there. There you go. So your feedback has reached Jeff, Steve, because previously the Game Awards have run for a couple of weeks, haven't they? Seemingly, they start late at night. They're still going on when you wake up in the morning, and nobody can remember a thing that happened in about them, apart from something to do with Hideo Kojima.
I mean, that's one way of looking at it, Simon. The other way of looking at it is this. I think this is cowardice. Because if we had listened to this kind of feedback over the last 17 years, how long do you think One Life Left would be by now?
It's a good point. Yeah, we'd be taking into account some feedback, and we won't be doing the show anymore.
Maybe 30 seconds or so. Maybe the theme length. We'd be suitable for TikTok, wouldn't we? Alice, do you watch the Game Awards?
I feel like I usually watch highlight reels. If anything dumb happens, then I watch the worst stuff afterwards. If somebody goes on stage and shouts a lot, that's happened a few times, I think. I don't have the time or patience for several hours of award shows. So I just,
I think that's
Take that feedback, Jeff.
Cutting it down again.
Exactly.
Usually I get the information on the Game Awards via Simon on the radio show. You do watch it though, don't you? You have to scan through it. It's part of your job.
Me?
Just in case. What happens if you win one? Maybe you have won one. You know.
Oh, we haven't paid any money to win anything, Steve.
There we go. Alice, are you ready for a news story?
Yes, I hope this wasn't covered yet because it's
Okay.
but
here we go.
The news snippet that I found and I thought was interesting and perhaps worth mentioning is that Pong turned 50 last week.
Pong turned 50?
Yes, Pong the video game, made by Atari back in 1972. It turned 50 this last week, and so that's exciting. Video games are old now.
Alice, why did you choose this news story for a show you are recording with two old men?
I don't know.
No reason? You thought maybe we were there back at the launch? Covered it maybe on One Life Left in the early days?
We certainly could have been. What's everybody's Pong memories then? Earliest Pong memories?
Well, I remember using... I don't think it was an official Atari console. We didn't have many of those in the UK, did we? But certainly some unlicensed version of a teletennis machine plugged into my TV in the early 80s. I remember flicking one of those hardware switches to switch it between Pong and football and hockey and basketball, all of which were basically the same game, weren't they?
Was it a Binatone console?
Could have been. Don't know.
I think that. Yeah.
See, you were probably old enough to read by that point. I wasn't.
Yeah. No, we had those. That was the first video games we had in our house many years ago. And there was also Squash Steve, where they added an extra wall. Don't forget that. There were three walls.
What about you, Alice?
I feel like I first played Pong. I think I had it on one of my first mobile phones, actually, which was like, I don't know. I think my first phone was the one of the first Nokias with a color display. So like I'm definitely too young to have had it as a home console with like no other games on it. Like my first home console was an N64. So generational gap right here.
No problem. We're here to educate you.
Oh, thank you so much.
I've got nothing else to say on Pong.
No, I've definitely played Pong. I'm pretty sure I had it on my phone, and since I had nothing else on my phone, I did spend a bunch of time playing Pong.
I played it on the Atari 50th anniversary collection last week for the show. Of course, we reviewed it then, and I found it quite difficult. I don't know if that's if I was playing with a joypad rather than a trackball, but the bat was very, very small. Maybe my eyes have got worse since then.
Yeah. Have either of you played the physical Pong? That's the best version of Pong I've played. I played it in a barcade in New York.
Tennis?
No, it uses magnets, and it's got you've got a physical bat and the ball, and they're moving across a physical surface. It was excellent, and also difficult.
I remember one of my earliest assignments with Edge was to go to a Dutch game show, and there were people there playing Pong with their minds.
Shut up!
You remember that?
Very sci-fi.
You're just going to read a book. What's that you've got there, Simon?
Oh, sure. What, this old thing? Actually, this is, I don't know why. So Steve and I wrote a book with our friend David many years ago. It's called Game On, From Pong to Oblivion. That dates it. The 50 greatest video games of all time. This one is signed by Nolan Bushnell. It says, to Simon, keep playing. And he's done a little Pong. Look at that. And you have to be careful with that sort of language when you're describing old men. You say that Nolan's done a little Pong. He's drawn a little Pong on my book. I don't know why I asked him to sign a book I wrote. I mean, what am I like?
I know exactly why you did it. Finally, one of those books is valuable. Wonderful, Simon. Well done.
Yes.
All right, do we have one more news story?
We can do.
Let's do it.
It's brief. Okay. Time Todd Howard has revealed that Bethesda is currently working on an unannounced mobile game. In an interview with the Lex Fridman podcast, Howard said he is in love with the mystery project. While not revealing specific details about the game, Howard suggested it will target younger players comfortable using mobile devices for relatively lengthy play sessions. We have a new mobile game that we're working on, we haven't announced yet, that I'm in love with, he said. There are a couple of things you can approach on mobile. Now, I can give you the sort of classic mobile gaming thing and then do what we do. You know, classic mobile gaming is really for short play sessions because of the amount of people you're going to get, the number have to have the... Oh, shut up, Todd. I can't be bothered to read the rest of that. I just thought it was funny that Todd said that he is in love with an unannounced mobile game, and I wondered whether he has a partner, what his partner would feel about Tom revealing that he's in love, and the sort of traits that he goes for. Is that the things that Todd loves is that he wants to get younger players comfortable using mobile devices for relatively lengthy play sessions. I mean, that's a hell of a Tinder bio, isn't it?
Simon, I know as a game publisher, someone who goes out, seeks video games, and finds things that you love, that you've been in love with unpublished video games before.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that I'm in love with a mobile game that targets younger players for long play sessions.
No, all of your mobile games are over
creepy.
the age of consent. Right.
Exactly, it sounds creepy. It sounds creepy. I mean, obviously you have to love the games you publish, so I'm not... It was just a description of it, Steve, that was all. I thought that was funny. Like I say, you know, you meet somebody in a bar, what's your type? I like lengthy play sessions on mobile. Do you, Todd? Good. Don't use that as the audiogram, please, Pickaxe. I'll get in trouble.
All right. Is that all of the news?
That's all the news.
Thanks, Simon.
One Life Left video game news with Anne Scantleberry.
Hello, my name's Alice, and I'm a game designer, and this is One Life Left.
Alice, have you designed a game for us this week?
Yes.
What's the game called?
Roll and sleep. So if we roll, then it means that we're out of the game. And if we don't roll, then we're lucky because we're still in the game.
So your new game is called Roll and Sleep. And to win, you've got to roll. And if you sleep, you...
No, do not win.
Okay.
If you don't win, it means that you're rolling. And if you do it means that you're sleeping.
Right, okay. Your game is called Roll and Win. And if you roll, you
No, roll and win.
No,
It's
right, so...
roll and sleep.
So your game is called Roll and Sleep. And if you roll, you don't win. And if you sleep, you do win. So do you win every night?
Every night.
Every night, okay. Sounds very fun. What's the challenge in the game?
That we just... I just don't want to tell you this.
Okay.
This is going to be pretty crazy.
Why don't you want to tell me?
Because it's going to be crazy.
All right, well, thank you very much, Alice.
I'm doing another one.
What's it called?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Okay, what do you do in ice cream?
So we have to try and put the white things that we have in the rain of the pipes.
You have to put the right things that you have in the rain of the pipes.
Yeah.
Perfect. What would you give your game out of 10?
7 out of 10.
Have you got anything else you'd like to say?
No, thank you. Bye. Happy Christmas.
Thanks, Alice. That was Alice's sixth game design, and really felt like she was running out of steam at the end there. She wanted to continue, wasn't sure how to continue, and yeah, that's the final one I've got currently recorded, although if we do run out of content next week, I do have a 10-minute explanation of the plot of Frog Detective 3, which is very Resonance FM. So we will we'll see what happens next week. But luckily, we've got bonus Alice content this week, don't we, Simon?
Very good, very good. Hello, Alice.
Hello.
So, tell us a little bit about your work and what you get up to.
Where to start? I make games about horses, and I write about games with horses in them, and I just talk a lot about horses. So maybe to start at the beginning, like I'm a game designer and producer, and I started doing launched a website called The Main Quest as a hobby project, and the Main Quests, that's MANE. The Main Quest's purpose was basically to analyze horses in video games, tell people how horses work and why they often don't work that way in games, and review games about horses, which is like a niche genre aimed at kids primarily. And that's that kind of started out as a little hobby project on the side, and in the meantime, I've started actually working as a horse game producer at a company that makes horse games, among other things. So
Nice.
Horse games have taken over my life.
What? So there must have been one horse in one game that prompted this journey. Which one was it? Which one got you so angry you needed to start detailing how horses work?
Oh my god, there's so many. Like, I mean, there's... I think like the website started around the time that that actually Red Dead Redemption 2 was announced, where the horses are really very good. I mean, they're not perfect. I also have like nitpicks with them, but definitely one of the positive examples. And that commentary that I did just on Twitter at the time, and not on my website yet, that resonated really well with people. And one actually that kicked it off was that Kingdom Come Deliverance had a trailer where they advertised there's horse riding, and their horses just didn't have any bridles on them, where it was like, why do you advertise horse riding when your models aren't even done? That's weird. So that was what, like, but honestly, there's many things that kicked it off. There's also like just the fact that I didn't see anyone else talking about this, and they were like, but I want to talk about this, so I started talking about it.
I think one thing Twitter really likes is people really leaning into something that they don't know about necessarily and getting quite angry or at least passionate about it,
Yes.
which is something you did around the time of Red Dead Redemption and on subsequent games.
Yes,
as well.
absolutely.
And it's a good example of you leaning into something that you really, really care about as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's basically how this all got started. I started commenting on individual horses in games, or like some old horse games. I was like, this was good, why doesn't it exist anymore? Or like, why doesn't anybody make this but new and better? And definitely one of the feedbacks I got a lot was like, I don't know anything about horses, but this is interesting. And that's mostly because I've been loud and passionate about this, and educating people on the side. Like,
So what sort of things should we be looking out for? What sort of things should we be demanding of our horses in games?
I think it would be nice if their joints bent the right way around compared to real horses. That's one of the things that games keep getting wrong, unfortunately. I mean, not all of them, of course, but it's more common than you'd think for games to just get very basic horse movements wrong, or like that the gaits are wrong, like that. For example, for years, one of the most popular like Unity asset packs, like animated horse asset, just had a walk that was wrong. Like the horse moved the two diagonal leg pairs at the same time, which is not how a horse walks. It's just like a horse's gait is like the walk is a 4-beat, and every leg is moved individually. And that was just wrong. And of course, as a result, lots of games used just a horse that walked wrong. Because who questions an asset pack when an asset pack says like, here's an animated horse? You don't go like, is this really though? So that's led to issues, and that asset pack is still very popular and still has a bunch of issues, even though they've fixed their walk now.
I'm currently playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and that's got a horse in it. Is that am I okay? I haven't noticed anything wrong with it.
Honestly, how dare you?
Well, okay, go on.
I'm joking. So I haven't played Odyssey, but what bothers me about Assassin's Creed is that, or like the recent Assassin's Creed games, is that you have these super detailed and high fidelity character models by now. Like the characters and faces and animations are really top notch, and the horses just still look like they just look 5 years out of date, like at least. They also have not updated their horse models for the recent few games. I think it's been the same since Origins, I believe. So Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla have been using the same horse model, even though, for example, that the type of horse would be roughly accurate for the Odyssey setting, more or less, but completely not the type of horse that would have been ridden in the time and place that Valhalla plays out. So I just think Assassin's Creed sort of treats its horses a bit. They're obviously not a priority, which it's fine. I realize not everybody has horses as their priority all the time. I heard it exists, but it makes me not want to play. I don't want to play these games for the horses, and also I barely find the time for big AAA open world games because it's just I don't time and patience and all that.
I'm gonna pay closer attention to it when I fire it up later. Do horses come when you whistle them in real life? Because my one does in Assassin's Creed Odyssey straight away. Wherever it is.
I think you can train horses for that, so I don't think it's completely unrealistic. But it's also definitely one of those things where I'm like, I don't care if that's accurate because it's obviously convenient. Like I'm not somebody who goes like, this horse doesn't actually need to eat hay all the time or it gets sick. Like, I mean, I recognize that games make adaptations between like real life and game mechanics. I do understand that, and I think some of those changes are very make a lot of sense.
That is a good point. I haven't
not something that I complain about.
I've not seen my horse in Assassin's Creed do a Pong, so to speak. But you've made a bit of a rod for your own back then, I guess, as a critic of horses in games, and then you make horse games yourself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is that more difficult because of your work, because of what you say publicly about other horses? Have you had anybody call you out on your?
I mean,
your
yes,
in-game
definitely.
Horses?
Not so much. I mean, people aren't our game, Horse Tales Emerald Valley Ranch, was just released early November on PC, PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch. And there's definitely been people that were like, after all this complaining, this is what you do, but not really about the horses. The complaints I've seen are mostly about we all, much like Callisto Protocol, we are currently at mixed reviews on Steam,
Okay.
and the complaints are more like sort of about scope overall. We're also working on some bug fixing. That was definitely necessary. But people don't really complain about the horses. More like, I wanted this game to be better. To which, yeah, I know, me too. Believe me. But unfortunately, timelines and budgets exist, and those can't be overridden with passion alone. So yes, definitely. Since I've done a lot of complaining about horses in video games, people also thought that I would definitely not make any of my game would not have any of the issues that I've ever complained about, which is unfortunately unrealistic. Though, of course, in future projects that I'm basically part of from the very beginning, I'll have another chance to avoid some stuff that I see other games getting wrong.
So, are you able to talk about those future projects? What is next for you?
Not yet, because it's the game was just released, and we have the company is working on other projects as well, which is why we're not very far yet on future horse game projects. So this is very much early concept stage at the moment. But I think it's not a secret to say that I'm at Aesir for the horse games, and I'm still at Aesir, so. Things might happen.
There's an exclusive for you there, listeners. Brilliant. Thank you for joining us, Alice. How do we keep up with your work? How do we follow you?
Well, you can go to themainquest.com. Like I said, that's MANE. And you can follow. I'm still on Twitter, even though I know half of all game devs have left. But I was been.
They haven't left. They haven't left. What I like about half of Game Dev Twitter, who claim that they left, is they still pop back to advertise what they're doing on Twitter. Like, aren't you on Mastodon now? I thought you were going to Mastodon. Why don't you talk about your new game over there then on Mastodon, where you say we all have to go? I'm leaving Twitter. Are you all still here? Then read about my new game. Bye.
Exactly. So since I don't have the capacity right now to cross promote other accounts as well, I'm still on Twitter, where you can find me at Malice the Firenze. So that's or you can Google my name. You find my website and my links that way too.
Brilliant.
Excellent. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Are you sticking around for the rest of it? I know there was some debate whether you had to go and do meetings, or do you want us to join your meetings? We're quite happy to.
No, actually, I've been checking the whole time if I got a response, but actually, no, I've been able to delay that to cancel that one meeting that I thought I'd have to go to. So no, I'm good.
What were you going to be talking about?
I can't tell you what my internal meetings are about. Sorry.
Perfect. Okay.
It was horse game related. It was horse game related. I can reveal that top secret information.
Let's try and push some of that content into our letters section.
Email, messages, and forward BCC. One Life letters.
Simon, I haven't even looked whether we've got any letters.
We don't have any letters. We do need to get back to Resonance to confirm our place in 2023 schedule.
I haven't done that.
I'll do that now. So there's that's the only correspondence that we've had that we can that's not a press release.
Have you checked the Discord?
I was looking at. I was just trying to confirm our place in the Resonance schedule for next year. Actually,
Priorities.
in the Discord, there is in the mailbag. Tony wrote. No, when was that? Tony wrote after the last show. Dear team, and perhaps super special guest. After seeing the attached quotes from a Digital Foundry piece on some new game, I was thinking about memorable video game controversies, like Acclaim offering to pay for speeding fines earned on the way to buy Burnout 2, or Acclaim giving prize money for naming your baby Turok, or Acclaim trying to buy advertising space on tombstones. Anyway, what gaming controversies do you remember fondly, and do you think that in 20 years' time it will be a game had an unexciting set of resolution options? Optional other question in case the controversies were too controversial to mention on air in a radio show and also podcast. Has any game ever had what you would describe as an exciting set of resolution options? So the quote he mentions is from Digital Foundry, where they are talking about controversial, unexciting set of resolution options. He doesn't name the game, so I'm unfamiliar with what that game is, so I can't tell you how controversial it is. Controversies. I was talking about these only this week because I was chatting about one of the guys that used to do the PR for Acclaim, who did all that stuff. They also did. They bought a load of fuel at a petrol station in North London and gave away free petrol and caused chaos with traffic jams. They also said they were advertising on pigeons during Wimbledon. Now, the truth about many of these stories is that they didn't do them. All they had to do was say that they were doing them, and people wrote about them and then talked about them on a radio show many, many years later. What have I done? I once had to explain to Activision what a podcast was, Steve, when I was working on the Guitar Hero games and we were sponsoring One Life Left. And they didn't know what a podcast was.
Probably for the best.
For a best. And then you forgot to invoice us, so I don't think we ever paid One Life Left at the time. I did get in trouble for sticking some plastic tabs on a Jimi Hendrix statue in the Isle of Wight, which was completely done with everybody's permission. But by the time the story had reached America, they thought I'd desecrated his grave. Genuinely true. When I hadn't, I'd stuck 5 coloured plastic tabs. Actually, the controversial thing about that should have been it was the wrong make of guitar for the game I was promoting. But instead, what else have we done? I once tried to beam the villain of Command & Conquer onto the Eclipse when it happened many years ago. We were going to project it onto the Shadow, we were working with the guy who ended up founding Devolver at the time. He was at EA. I think we took it with EA at the time, and he'd given us full permission to go and beam the face of Cain onto the eclipse when the sky darkened. Fortunately, we pulled out of it a couple of days beforehand because you needed to guarantee that there'd be low-level cloud. That's what you'd actually project onto. And we weren't. It was going to cost quite a bit of money, and we weren't certain we were going to be able to do it. It turns out there was low-level cloud. I'm really glad we didn't do it because we would have just ruined the eclipse for everybody. Anything else? Any other awful PR stunts you can remember?
I can't remember any, and I suppose that is part of the point here, right? All of that stuff is quite transient, that it kicks up a fuss in the papers for a few days and then it passes, and it's very rare that people remember it. In fact, the only ones that I can remember are things like I remember Dead Island kicking up lots of fuss over the nude zombie torso that it bundled with the game. And the reason I remember that is because it's a lyric in Maraoke, which is basically how I remember all of the things that happen in video games these days. They're just charted in that important historical record of our silly songs about games.
I think that's it. So I can't be certain where Robert Wells's letter came from, or if we even read it out last week. Don't know. Let us know, Robert.
But if you want to write to One Life Left, you can do so by emailing
team@onelifeleft.com
or dropping your message in the Discord. And please, when you do that, just let us know somehow whether we should read it out on the next show, like where it is, because we get very easily confused. Yeah, thank you. You're listening to One Life Left on Resonance 104.4 FM. We are a video game radio show broadcast on the best radio station in the world, and has been doing that for 17 years, and we'll do it for another one if Simon remembers to reply to that email. Have you done it already?
Oh, no, it's halfway through it. I had to put my name in.
Right, you got
And then I
distracted.
got a bit confused.
You can also find us as a podcast at www.onelifeleft.com. That podcast has been put together by Pickaxe and our wonderful producer, Phil, who isn't here right now but trusts us to do this on our own. More fool him. Now, also...
Here's a question. Would you like to produce new episodes of One Life Left for the 2023 schedule? It has an asterisk next to it. So, yes.
Yes.
There you go. Okay, cool.
Simon, we've got a technical innovation this week.
Oh, fire away.
So over the last, couple of years, you'll have noticed me fumbling, trying to direct people towards the Discord, saying, yeah, you can find the link in the show notes, or you can find the link on the Twitter or somewhere, just ask one of us, we'll invite you personally. Well, now we don't have to do that. You, as in you, Simon, or you, Alice, or indeed any of the listeners to the show, can go to hello.onelifeleft.com. And that'll send you to a link tree, which has all the important links for One Life Left, including a link to the Discord. So hello.onelifeleft.com, and we'll see you on the Discord shortly. Good.
I was just checking it out, Steve. What a technical marvel. It's Linktree.7 out of 10.
Yeah, I know, because someone else has already got onelifeleft.com. I know. Sorry, linktree.com/.
Have we bagged One Life Left on Mastodon for when we all get over there?
We'd have to bag it on all of the servers. Do you mean gamedev.social?
I don't know how it works.
Need to get over there for the next couple of weeks before everyone gets bored and moves back to Twitter. There's also hello.mario.ke for all of your Maraoke links. So I really have done a little bit of housekeeping this week.
Haven't you been busy?
Seriously. Right, I think it's time for the review section, unless first, Simon, you want to deal with the any other business of my headphones.
I was going to talk about that later. I was going to mention at this stage, though, that we Yogscast and our charity partners launched the Jingle Jam last week on Thursday, which is our not just the Yogscast. Many content creators are coming together to stream for charity across 2 weeks. If you donate over £35, you will get a huge collection of games. We got to £1 million donated before midnight on the first day, which we'd never done before. So that was brilliant. Thanks everybody for their support. But it will still be going by the time this show airs. If you're interested, head to jinglejam.com. I'm going to check it out at the moment and see what's going on there. Sorry, jinglejam.co.uk. You see more details on the charities and you can donate if you so choose.
All right, thanks, Simon. It's time for the reviews. Now, I was looking through the games that I've played. Oh, Alice has just joined the Discord. Live on the radio show.
This is how we grow our social presence, isn't it? One by one.
I was looking through the games that I've played this week, and it turns out I've played very, very few that I haven't played before. In fact, maybe none. I went back to Frog Detective 3, because while I said I'd completed it before, I hadn't actually done the post-credits scene where you receive another call on your phone. What happens next? Well, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it is incredibly wholesome. And the game concludes in just a really nice way, the way the series should conclude. Well, I don't know if it's the last game in the series. It does actually feel like she's saying, this is enough now. Anyway, it's excellent. Brilliant fun. 7 out of 10. I also went back to Alba, the game that we've talked about on the show. Us two games.
Lovely Alba.
Exploration of an island.
Lovely.
Hadn't been back to that island for a few months, but it was very easy to pick up where I'd left. Really enjoyed that as well. 7 out of 10 to that. But I think that's basically it for me, Simon.
Alice, what have you been playing?
I have been playing Potionomics, which is a deck builder, store management, potion brewing game, and I've been enjoying it a lot. I had to start over because on my first run I was so bad at it, just basically learning how to play it. But the game doesn't forgive you for learning how to play it. Like if you make mistakes in your first few days of playing, you're going to be feeling them for the rest of the game. So I was struggling a lot at first, and I had to start over. But now I feel very competent. So like now that I restarted with a bit more clue of what I'm doing, I'm having a lot of fun. So it's very.
I heard from friends of mine who've been playing this game, that it is indeed a lot like work. That it's the sort of game that it helps if you have a spreadsheet open while you're playing.
I'm not a spreadsheet kind of player, but I definitely like. The downside is, or like the crushingly realistic part of Potionomics is that everything you do happens on a timer, and your like time always moves, or like actions consume time slots, and even like hanging out with NPCs to build relationships and get help from them, that also consumes time slots. And you get stressed from selling your potions, so you have to go to bed early in order to build down, in order to get rid of that stress level. So this is all just there's a few things that are really realistic. Like you need to work so much and you don't have time to relax, and time keeps moving, and you can't go back and fix mistakes you've made in the past. Like it's that's a lot less forgiving than I thought it might be, considering like it looks very colorful and sweet, and the writing is really wholesome. Very unforgiving if you mess anything up.
All right, Simon, what have you been playing this week?
Still playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey. As I mentioned, I doubt I'll finish it before next week, so I'll still be talking about it then. The last show of the year. We don't have the time for anything else, Steve, do we?
We don't. I assume next week, Simon, you'll have more detail to pass on about Assassin's Creed Odyssey's horses. You'll have been paying extra attention to those.
I'm not going to travel by horse ever again after what I've heard today. Disgusted with it.
Alice, thank you so much for coming on the show this week. It's been
thank you
super
so much
fun
for having
to have
me.
you. Remind people where they can follow you on Twitter or whatever other social thing you're on.
Mostly Twitter. You can find me at Malice da Firenze, which is, by the way, that's an Assassin's Creed reference. So I did love Assassin's Creed back in the day.
But now you know better. Now you can't believe
No,
what you've seen in there.
the games have just gotten too big for me. I don't even mind anything they do. It's just I don't have time.
Understandable. Right, that's the end of the show. Simon, any last words?
Yep. Please send us some stuff for final show of the year next week. We'll see you then. Until then,
Goodbye.
bye.
Goodbye.